One thing that I've come on camera to say is that I am not who you think I am. And you're not, most likely, who you think you are. And I'm here to embody that statement. I'm here to embody that I no longer believe in who I thought I was. And while I carry the name Stefan and I am in this amazing, healthy, handsome, Hispanic, young body, well suited to bring the exact gifts that I'm here to bring into the world, this is not who I am. I am rooting my identity from this moment forward, as I have been in private, into something that is much greater, my eternal nature, that part of me which we can call spirit. Spirit, which is the only thing that I want directing my life, not my ego. Because my ego doesn't know what the fuck it's doing. At all. At all. The one thing it knows how to do is how to not do things very well, to allow insecurities to come forward and hold us back from the kind of work that we're here to do, allow us to not step into our greatness in this lifetime, allow us to get into fights about things that do not matter with people that we love, and to do things which are totally out of alignment with what our true nature is, what our character is, with who we came here to be, which is perfect vessels and beings of love. Rising to our greater capacity in order to share gifts with the world which are going to help us advance, create a new world, create a 2150 or the new earth. That is where we are in alignment. And the ego does not know how to do that. That's why I no longer want to be just somebody that has an identity in the material. It is the unification of both my material self and of my spiritual self. Getting those two to work as a team and remembering that the thoughts of my mind are just the thoughts of my mind. That actually I am always, always, always connected to something that is much greater, that knows way more than whatever I think I've learned in this lifetime. And there's so much more to still discover. There's so much more to remember. I'm here to tell the entire world, guys, I am starting to remember the game that we're playing. And the game that we're playing is not playing small. It's not optimizing for pleasure and avoiding pain. It's not a trip to Cabo. It's not our weekends. It's not mating with the right person because that's what's gonna make me happy. That's not what's gonna make me happy. And I can tell you from experience, because as somebody who has been so rooted in his boyhood, that thinks that happiness is on the other side of great sex and lots of money. That's obviously not it. It's taken me a while to make the jump from, okay, it's not just about great sex, it's actually about sex and partnership. Loving partnerships, so somebody that can be there, understand you, grow with you. Okay, I'm with that. And then I'm able to transcend from money into, okay, it's not just about money, but it's also about what we're doing in order to generate that money and how that could be fulfilling to us. One thing that I'm here to be and provide to the entire world is my assistance in everyone else's personal evolution. I cannot wait to be in positions where I am helping people see what the game really is, realize that we are in some sort of matrix type of illusion, and that we have this really incredible power that not only we get to play with, but we get to use to create a different world and to help wake ourselves up. And that going back to the experiences that we are manifesting in our lives that are helping us grow, we can now approach life with a completely different lens. A lens of meeting life, knowing that everything that is presenting itself is an opportunity for me to grow through. Every person is somebody that I'm here to love. Every situation is one where I am being called forth into a greatness where I can serve the world and be whatever I came here to be, and help alleviate the suffering of the world. Because if you look around into the world, lucky me, I get to be on camera in a nice studio in a nice place like Miami, in a nice world in a country that's not currently at war. But a lot of the world is still in massive amounts of suffering. You don't have to leave Miami to find tons of suffering, because suffering starts here. Suffering starts in our mind. And if there's one thing that I am so deliciously happy about in this life, in this moment, is that I'm finally learning about my mind. I'm learning how I've allowed myself to be a victim of what's going on between my ears, allowed myself to listen to the incessant chatter of my mind, my stubborn roommate, which always reminds me of the past and always reminds me of my brother's guilt. This is not the voice that we need to be listening to. So I want to be funny for a second. Oh my God, my friends. Hello, because I haven't said hi to you in a long time. Hello also to wake us up. Guys, I've realized how dumb I've been in my life. About everything. About literally everything. I've been infected with fucking memes and with social media and with my own mind and with the counsel of my close friends who also don't have an idea. More so true in the past than it is today, because I have really great friends now. And some of those same friends have just evolved, and so we meet each other where we're at, which is a beautiful thing. Shout out to all my good friends. But I've been so dumb my whole life. Oh my God, I had no idea how much I have allowed myself to be a victim of my own mind. Allowed myself to be a victim of the world outside of me. Allowed myself to be a victim of the information that I have let in, that I have chosen to let in, that I have allowed my distractible mind and my focus to go toward things that do not help me evolve. But I mean, can we just go back to my childhood and just like teach me how to read and then tell me to read good books and actually learn something? Because it really took me to come out of college to start learning for real, to get out of the education system. How many of us feel that? Because we all know that the real education is coming from the school of life. It's coming from waking up to what life is about. And life is one complicated, amorphous, big, evolving, transient, wild of a ride. We all have to honor the game. The game is complex. The game is moving. There are nation states. There are political states. There are inner states. There are so many environments where we have to rise up, learn in order to operate well in them, rise up into our own best self, and learn some of the fundamental traits that, man, I cannot wait to help other people learn how to use their mind, how to become more disciplined, how to find more focus, how to let go of fear or feel the fear and do it anyways, how to connect with their inner creative being, how to connect with their inner art, how to connect in a way that allows you to connect with other people and be somebody that rises in social situation or rises in personal situations to be a force for good, to be a force for happiness, to hold space, to listen well, to give good counsel, to think well for yourself, to do your own self-reflection, to do your own inner work. Man, a lot of my days is spent in communication with something higher or something inner, repeating back the things that I need to live by, like the things that I'm speaking today, that I'm here to be a man full of love, with less mind, that always has heart and mind coherence. The things that I see around me aren't that real. That the illusion that we find ourselves in is just a lot of symbolism, lessons for my inner self. And I gotta be careful to not believe in the illusion. One of the best quotes to kind of describe the game is by Richard Feynman, who says, "Try not to fool yourself, but remember you're the easiest person to fool." And that, unfortunately, is so true because we want to find happiness in the material world, and that's not where we're going to find it at all. We are going to find happiness when we find it inside, when we find love in our hearts and we start connecting with who we came here to be. The only thing that we want as spirit is to move into something that is less impermanent, because this world is like the capital of impermanence in the universe of impermanence, where everything is in flux, things are changing from one moment to the next. I no longer get to hold on to a feeling that I've enjoyed, like the feeling of an orgasm or a delicious meal, or even helping someone else. These are all things that are transient in nature, and most of the time is spent in between trying to get to the next feeling of ecstasy or pleasure. But it is fleeting, my friends. It is fleeting, fleeting, fleeting. One of the best concepts that I can put into your mind is that of the best meal that you can think of. Because no matter how perfect the meal, how perfect the plating, how perfect the food, the temperature, the time that it came out, because I was still digesting, they brought it at exactly the right time where I just got a little bit hungry, And so there was this perfect ratio of balance and waiting and eating, and the company was perfect, and the company afterward was perfect, and you're still lingering on a high, and you're just floating. How good was our meal? Oh, it was the best meal. Oh, it was such perfection. And then the next day you wake up, and you're still thinking about the meal, but by the afternoon, guess what? You're hungry again. And if you can get that kind of satisfaction from life over and over and over and over again, which is what most people optimize for, you think that you've made it. But I can't wait to tell you that there is something much more satisfying to the soul. There are things that are less impermanent. There are things that are eternal, just like your eternal nature. And that's what we're really looking for. I'm looking to wake up from an illusion that would always keep me hungry, no matter how good the last meal was. We all know not every meal is so good, and yet we're still hungry for more. That one really fucks with me. Because if everything was great, we could really be on board for this life thing. But most of life is not that great. And most of people's lives is getting to the point where now the ratio is more in the favor of things being better on a consistent basis. But it ends up being a struggle or suffering, and it doesn't have to be, but it ends up being a struggle or suffering until you get to that place where you're like, things are better. But when things get better, we usually invite more things that take away from it. Now, the good news is we get to be happy, but the bad news is we don't get to be happy by doing things that won't make us happy, no matter how hard we've convinced ourselves that they will make us happy. I'm going to say that again. We do get to be happy, but we don't get to be happy by doing things that don't make us happy, no matter how hard we've convinced ourselves that those things will make us happy. Money is a great example. If we have convinced ourselves that getting a certain amount of money or a certain material possession is going to make us happy, we are in for a rude awakening, my friends, because it is just like that meal. The feeling is going to fade. Things are only going to make us happy temporarily when we go after things in form, in the material, where everything decays, and you got to go looking for the next piece of happiness, the next hit of happiness. The ego thinks in terms of getting hits. The ego thinks in terms of its short-term gain. Because the ego is a finite creature. The ego dies. We die. I go from womb to tomb, and that's all the ego gets. And the ego wants more and more and more. Give me longevity supplements. I'm going to do fasting so I can live till 120. And I'm going to take resveratrol. And on top of that, I'm going to exercise so that I can look as good for as long as possible and be as healthy as possible so I can live as long as possible. But if that ego is aligning kind of in the way mine does, it's still thinking in short term, even if it's thinking all the way to 120 years. Bless you, ego. You're so cute. You're so cute. I see you're trying to do the best, but let me tell you, that's not what this game is about. The game is not about living longer and living happier. The game is about personal evolution. And that's what I bring myself to. If I can impart on anybody here that's listening, is your will is the driving force of your evolution, of your existence. Your will to live, but your will to thrive is beating a drum, and it's called your heart. It's beating a drum you are always listening to, and ideally is always moving you forward if you're not neglecting it. If you're not numbing yourself with drugs, with alcohol, with bad food, and with bad thinking. We can follow the sound of our heartbeat. We can follow the rhythm of our drum. That will to grow and to thrive cannot die inside of you. You can only numb it. And you can numb it so long that you check yourself out of life and make it to the next one and try again. But I promise you, if you're alive today, then you are witnessing the perfect moment in time and divinity for you to rise up, for you to rise up and rise into your significance, for you to rise up into the gifts that you have brought into this world to make manifest to help serve others. And the only thing standing in your way is your mind. Just like the only thing that has been standing in my way has been my mind. Okay, so I got a funny one. I'm gonna run for president, and that's a joke. But I'm gonna run for president, and I'm going to call, my slogan is gonna be, "We fucked up." We fucked up. Extreme ownership, guys. The ownership party. The we fucked up party. Because when you look at the way that things are going, I'm not that confident. I'm honestly not that confident that we are going in the right direction, because the voices of the ego seem to be getting louder and louder and louder, and we can barely keep up with all the noise outside of us, so we numb ourselves from it, even though ideally we would confront it. We would take ownership, we would move in the direction of creating the new world where we create more accountability in ourselves, we create more accountability in our communities, and then we create more accountability at a larger scale, and ideally put our egos to the side so that we can accept constructive criticism, actually reflect on it, so that we can start apologizing, integrating, and start moving in a different direction, because we're going in the wrong direction in most cases, and maybe just from where I'm sitting. And let me tell you, life gets more twisted and more fucked up because it's an alarm system. It's an alarm that we have given up our power to forces external to ourselves, while all we focus on is how to make more money, move to a better place, acquire a better relationship, and have a better vacation by the end of the year, while somehow numbing ourselves to the fact that generally all we're doing is trading our time for money for somebody else that generally only cares about money. Oh my God, fuck. It's an alarm that we have given up our power to forces external to ourselves, while all we focus on is how to make more money, move to a better place, acquire a better relationship, and have a better vacation by the end of the year, while somehow numbing ourselves to the fact that generally all we're doing is trading our time for money for somebody else that generally only cares about money. Let's all wake up and realize that the whole system is really, and I'm saying wake up, everyone, a lot of people are awake to it, and most of the people that are gonna listen to me are awake, and I love you, you're perfect, keep doing what you're doing great. We can go faster and we can go faster together, but I think I'm on a sort of general rant, and I don't mean it for you personally, because you're such an awakened and beautiful being. I love you. But it's kind of funny to think that there could be a political party that actually just takes ownership. That we, because political parties are ultimately just an extension of a group of people, we as the people can just take more ownership for things in our lives. And it does start with knowing that we are not the victim of anybody. I am nobody's victim other than my own mind. And the mind is not victim to a higher self that is bringing me into alignment, but taking away things in my life that I'm attached to, that I'm holding value to, that are out of alignment. Like attaching myself to a material outcome of needing to make a certain amount of money per month. And my higher self is telling me, you know, don't focus so much about money. Actually, you need to go to some recording studio in Miami and just speak to whoever's listening, is contrary to what my ego, who is so concerned with safety and significance, with creating and embodying the archetype of a man that is a provider, that makes his rent diligently, that is creating an abundance, that is creating for the business world, so that I can be recognized as a man who is entrusted with leadership and is able to be responsible, so that more responsibilities can come my way and I can show not just the world, but myself that, yes, I am a man with all my discipline and rising to the occasion and full man fashion. Let's back up. And let me go back to being a dude in a room that's talking to people basically just through a screen, in order to say, hey, we can do better. We can do better, and we can start moving in the direction, or really just at least pump the brakes on a direction that is contrary to what we really want. That is still so caught up in just material desires and things that aren't making us happy, when the real happiness is finding love in our hearts, finding God in our hearts, and finding love and God in the eyes of others, and being compassionate with others, no matter how different they seem from me or us, because there is no them, as Ram Dass famously says. It's just us. People that look different, people that live far away, people that think differently, which is the hard one for us, because it's easy to identify with people that think like us, because the ego is recognizing itself in that moment. But it's hard to recognize ourselves and people that don't think like us, because the ego is also recognizing itself, but telling you that that's not me. That's not me. That person who thinks like that, who's crazy, who's a bigot, or who marginalizes, or who is corrupted by their own greed, or is mean to their parents, is mean to anyone nice, or hurts people, etc., etc., etc. That's not me. And yet everybody is showing us a piece of ourselves, because as far as unity consciousness goes, there is no separation. There is nobody that is outside that's not inside. And sometimes they're just blaring alarms. Sometimes they're people from our past coming to check us, like how much of me is still in you. But we have to remember and stay aligned that true happiness is found in anchoring ourselves in that beautiful knowledge that everything is happening for us, that we can trust in inner guidance, that life is unfolding perfectly for you in every single moment. You are exactly where you need to be. The people that are in your lives are exactly the people that need to be in your lives to bring you the lessons which are going to allow or give you the opportunity to grow and personally evolve, which goes back to the main thing that we are here for, which is our soul's personal evolution, so that we can always face the world with a smile and an open heart, because everyone's heart is able to love even the worst parts of ourselves. And we have to honor and accept, not neglect and avoid those parts of us that we find scary or that we allow to be our own insecurities or allow to be the victim of. Man, and I can't believe that I have to come on camera, but it's what my soul has been asking me to do. My soul has been saying, Stefan, start talking. Start building in public. Apply a philosophy that is going to present to the world an opportunity for them to see themselves and know that you have permission to go do something that scares you. You have permission to go out in front of people that think they know you and be who they don't know. Because I can tell you with a lot of certainty, most of the people that have been in my life have no idea what this is or who I am. Because I'm stepping into my embodiment. I'm stepping into somebody that knows that I'm going to be speaking to people that don't know me and helping them with things that I wouldn't have begun to believe or dream that I could help them with. Help them with their own mindset, or help them with their own personal evolution, help them with their own awakening. That's not what I thought I was capable of doing, and yet I know that's the direction that I'm going. And me today, guys, Stefan Leon, yes, and an evolving amorphous version of spirit came to authentically express himself in the variety of different manners that I'm uniquely suited to bring, mostly through communication, but even include the range of business, philosophy, education, music, speaking, connection, romance, poetry, delicious, delicious poetry that flows only when I get out of the way, just like my speaking today. Just because I speak this way, this is merely an experiment, just like all of life. Let yourself integrate that, because so bad does everybody want to cling to one perception. They want to cling, well, this person does this and this person does that. And if you hear marketing, I have to be known for this one thing. I have to be able to sum myself up, which is an expansive creative being with just 3 words, or a Twitter bio that is 150 characters. And I have to express all of my feelings and my personal work in an Instagram caption. Let it go. Be everything at once. Let go the cage of thinking. I don't need you to be who I knew you were yesterday, nor who I knew you to be when you and I were friends and talking to each other every night on the phone. You can be someone completely different today, tomorrow, and until the end of your life. I am ready to retire. Triggered. I am ready to retire from life the way that I've been playing it in the past. Because I'm seeing a different way to play life. And that different way to play life is one where I no longer create out of scarcity. I no longer create out of believing in the illusion. You cannot convince me nor sell me more of the illusion. I've seen what it looks like. It looks like complicated tax structures, complicated financial structures, complicated legal contracts, and trips to Cabo or Venice or some other place. Spare me. I'm over it. You can't sell me on whatever 401k returns, compound interest, the postman that has $1 million at the end of a 60-year retirement because he's been investing so diligent since he was 25. You can't sell me on this world anymore. By the way, invitation, retire with me. Come retire. Keep doing your work, keep doing your job, because I'm not financially retiring, unfortunately. I still have to pay bills. I still have to make my way through the matrix as a human, rising into his best potential no matter what, and participating, because it's not that I'm retiring from participation in life, just retiring from believing in the illusion. Now I get to get money, not from the need for money. Now I get to have relationships, not from the need for relationships. Now I get to have peace, not from the need for peace. Now I get to have not from the need for fun, because my life is so miserable otherwise that I'm trying to fill it with the pockets of fun that make life livable, enjoyable. No, baby, no. Live in this moment. I'm retiring from the illusion so I can say, sorry, that's not interesting. But what is interesting is my own personal evolution with connecting with people in front of me, with finding love in my heart, with always aligning with my truer purpose, with stepping into dharma, with letting things flow. And when things seem like they're not flowing, knowing that I'm still in flow. The flow hasn't stopped. It's not like the stream stops when we're somehow being bad, because that's like a punitive system, and that's not what we have created for ourselves. We have created constant flow for our lives. But the ride, the flow, can be shorter to the places that we are trying to go, which is our personal evolution, and to our eternal happiness, which is our eternal nature, because at the end of the day, what you're seeing in this flesh is not who's here. I've come here to tell you a secret. Not only are you not who you think you are, but I know who you are. You are God in disguise, baby, and drop the act because you don't need it anymore. You are beautiful, unchanging, whole, complete, sinless, changeless, unlimited on everything, and perfect. Right now, as you are, and everything that you wear on top of that, that isn't perfect, that doesn't look as good as you want to be, that isn't performing at the level you want to be performing at, that isn't rising to the greatness you know that you could be rising into, that isn't operating in the world with society, with your relationships, with yourself, or has a mind that tricks itself into believing that it can be its own victim of its own thinking and falling into self-pity and all the different patterns which are self-destructive, and all the depression and all those things are just a disguise, baby. It is you in disguise of who you truly are. You are just God in disguise, part and parcel with all eternal source, the universe itself coming to know itself. And man, is it one really weird, twisted, messed up joke that most people are asleep to the fact of who they really are. But I'm done believing who you are. You can put on the disguise of a monster. You can put the disguise of Vladimir Putin. You can put on the disguise of Donald Trump. You can put on the disguise of other unsavory characters, or even savory ones, because they're not different. Some of them are just letting their inner light shine through more and more instead of that inner shadow. And the shadow is only present because of the light, which means that it's part of it as well. I know who you really are. And no matter what happens, I will always be able to see that. And everybody else that shares this perspective, which I guarantee you are so many people, also see that. And will always see that in you, no matter how much you think you're making an error, because there is no such thing. God in disguise. I am also God in disguise, but I'm stepping out of the way a little bit so that that God inside of me can talk to that God inside of you. My friends, because I am dying. I swear I almost booked a studio just to record a 5-minute segment of what this is, just to tell everybody about one of the best books ever written, ever, that is showing us a future that, oh my God, I read it and I'm like, this is it. No, literally, this is it. I'm like reading it and I'm like, okay, yes. Oh my God, we can do this too. Yes, we're talking about a time in the future where we wake up from illusion. And it still takes place in a time period that is like the 80s or the 70s, and in 2150 concurrently, which actually makes a ton of sense since the way time probably works is that things are happening on top of each other. We're just tuned into a frequency where it's not. We're living this one. And let me tell you, it makes so much sense. It's the book that I offer to my closest friends as having the most amount of truth packed into the most fun, readable format I have yet to ever find. Because it's only like this big, and it's a beautiful novel that has elements of romance, has elements of discovery, there are cool powers, there's a really cool environment, your imagination is going wild while you're reading this one, or at least it did for me. And it's a book that I now am reading every year, ideally, until I get there. So it is my gift to you. Go to my website, stefanleon.com/2150AD in order to get a free copy from me. And if you like it, I hope that you pass it on. But more importantly, let me know. There's a spot on that website for you to leave me a comment or send me a message. And if you are inspired by what this book talks about, come with me to build it. Because in this lifetime, I'm dedicating myself not only to becoming a personal evolution tutor, which is a term from that book, but it's also to help build that world, invest in those technologies, help us heal so that we become the humans that can get out of our heads enough that we start waking up to the fact that, oh my God, we have an entire world that we get to play with, use, and create a really magnificent place with. And not just squander it, create fucking casinos and strip clubs and nightclubs and other places that aren't raising the consciousness, which are only creating a dampening of consciousness so that we stay numb to our greater potential. We can do more than just creating yoga studios. And ideally, one of the main things that's gonna happen to you, my friends, and now I'm back on a rant, which whatever, I need this too. Man, do I want us to all invest in more education and in improving our education system, whether that means starting at the private level and then eventually being able to integrate that so that there's a curriculum that children can go through. But more importantly than children, let's go through a curriculum that parents can go through, that adults can go through, so that they can be the first teachers as they always should be. Right now, they're unconscious teachers, but we can make parents conscious teachers, teaching in the right format, which isn't creating the kind of trauma that most people have to grow up with and grow out of in order to affect the kind of change that we need to in the world, because we're usually just battling childhood traumas as we try to make it through life and we try to step into our greatness while insecurities are shouting to us from the stands, from the background, from the driver's seat. And we get to quiet that when we work on ourselves, when we dismantle a thought system that is based off of fear, when we dismantle the thought system that is based in our subconscious, rooted in thoughts, patterns, beliefs, and thinking that has nothing to do with who we are or what the game is. But we still have to accept and heal and grow through the things that we've already gone through, because they were absolutely perfect in our spiritual evolution and our personal development, which allows us to step into our greater gifts, because the things that we heal from are the things that we get to bring into the world. The only thing that I ever have to offer the world is my own healing. Only what I have healed is what I can bring. Everything else is me basically overstepping my own authority. Because I need to be humble. The best that I can ever aspire to be in this life is a teaching assistant, because life itself is the greatest teacher. And I'm not here to take any credit. I am learning myself. But luckily, one of the best ways to learn is to teach what you have learned. Because that's where you see where the gaps are. And that's where you have to embody it. And I am making a public commitment today to all of you, not just by building in public, but to embody all of this consciousness for the rest of my life. I'm here to be someone that stands true to the proper morals, ethics, and values that I am cultivating, that are being given to me from that other place, in order for me to step into and find the places in my life where I'm not living in alignment with those aspects and clean that shit up. Because all of life is coming to the realization that we are the only creators of it. And if we take ownership of it, we can change it. And if we change it, we're gonna be in the kind of life, the kind of world that we wanna live in. my invitation to you, not only reading the book 2150 AD, which I really hope that you do, it would mean the world to me, but it would mean the world for me, for you to take more conscious action and awareness in the direction of your personal evolution, cleaning up the mess that we make in our lives, our daily lives, and answering the call of our spirit, answering the call of our Dharma. And now, my friends, I think I've come to a sort of conclusion thing. I'm not who you think I am. I don't believe in who you think you are or you portray to me, because I see through your disguise just like I see through mine today. I believe in a world where we don't have to die to wake up. I believe in a world that we are building, which creates real happiness. I believe in leadership in this world. I believe that we can build the new earth, that we can invest in the right types of projects today, that we can rise up to be the people that we want to have in the future today, that we can save the world from climate destruction today, that we can re-educate ourselves today, that we can be forces for change today, and all of that is going to help us grow into who we are meant to be, and that is the most important thing that we're going to ever do. To grow into who we were meant to be, aligning ourselves and being so deliberate about the way that we run our lives, letting the victim mentality go. I am not a victim of the world outside of me, nor am I a victim of the world inside of me. The world outside of me is a projection of my inner world, and my inner world is a projection of my thoughts, as well as the things that I have either taken care of and cleaned up from my subconscious mind or not. Which is why going deep into the subconscious mind is such important work for us to do. And I speak this all into existence, into the camera, so that I can start showing the world, sharing the gifts at this leg of the journey, so that other people can benefit for it right now. Also to leave a mark of what kind of direction I'm moving in for the rest of my life. The speaking, this moment is an experiment which you are participating with me in, and you are allowing me to participate with you in. Thank you so much for giving me this chance of expression. And hopefully this serves as either a kindling, tickling, touching, or nurturing of your soul body, of your mind, your emotions, and your heart, or any combination of those things. Because that is my intention in speaking this, not just to be a demonstration to myself, because I don't need it that much, of who I came here to be and what it means to step into something that creates fear or would otherwise be fearful for me, especially as I move this into post-production, see myself and think, I'm gonna post that somewhere? I'm gonna send this to people? What are people gonna think? This is long as hell. Are people gonna listen to something that's so long? Oh my God. So there's a lot of permission that I need to give myself too, just as I hope that you give your permission to yourself too, to step into your unique gifts and whatever flavor life is asking you to participate in with. Thank you. If you watch this, I love you. If you didn't watch it, I love you too, but not as much as the people that watched it. Thank you. I'm here because of everybody that is outside of me. I'm here because of the world that is inspiring me every day. The teachers that I listen to are outside of me, in addition to the one that is inside of me. But everybody that is going through their path, that is already living in their greatness, or that is trying and failing, baby, failure is the path to success. And if you're succeeding, thank you, because both of you are inspiring me to rise up so that I make it to 30 years old in a few months and I can be rooted in this consciousness for the absolute rest of my life. I'd like to read an excerpt from one of my favorite poems by one of my favorite poets, titled Marble Clouds. The sketch of me is simply dimpled, obtuse, deformed, but gentle. Yet who could ever understand me when all I've ever done is change? I think that's it for now. Love and blessings, my friends. Namaste.